Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. Life is miserable, it's cold, it's winter now, so me and my podcasting partner Stu, because I'm Bradley and I'm butchering another intro, are here to bring you a bit of warmth. How goes it, Stu?
Better than last week, yeah. So the COVID is on its way out, which is nice. Ding dong, the COVID's dead kind of thing, which is good. It's not too far off of Christmas, so yeah, things are brightening up. Can't complain.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I've decided I'm chosen now to get a stupid, sexy cold. So, yeah.
Stupid, sexy Bradley.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Less of the sexy, please. Just stupid.
Yeah, well, that's easily accomplished. Yeah.
So, right, before we get going, little insight into my brain. How an ADHD brain especially decides it doesn't want to work with other parts of the brain and communicate properly. So yesterday, me and Lorraine went into town to get a bit of food shopping and decided to go for a coffee beforehand and everything. So we have our coffee and then we head to Tesco. Other supermarkets exist, blah, blah, blah. Head to Tesco and we're in there and Lo starts telling me, she goes, when I was in here a few days ago, we saw a Charmander with a hat on. Now, my brain was going, right, okay, so what, was that a cuddly toy or was it like someone doing like cosplay for an event or something like that? That was what my brain was thinking. What came out of my mouth was stupidly excitedly going, what? The real Charmander?
Yeah, was he there to do it like a public appearance kind of thing?
Yeah, the real Charmander. Oh my dear Christ. What? Why? What? Who? How? I'm 41 years old and I'm getting like I couldn't comprehend the idea that there wasn't a real Charmander.
It's quite touching that you would think he exists. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah. But my brain wasn't saying that. My mouth just went, watch this.
Oh, like the fact that your mouth would just jump in. That's brilliant.
Oh, it's the only thing I could think of because my brain was going cuddly toy or cosplay. My mouth just went, nah. I don't think so.
I've got to know now, though. What was it in the end?
Oh, no, it was a cuddly toy she was telling me about.
Okay.
But yeah. And then she started taking me around going, shall we go to the toys now, see if we can see the real Charmander?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not going to live this one down, am I?
Got that for weeks now.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's our Christmas entertainment sorted.
Sweet.
Do you know what Charmander appears in, Stu?
What's that?
A series of animes called Pokémon, right? And do you know what else Pokémon is?
What?
It's a series of comics, right? But do you know what else Pokemon is, Stu?
Go on.
It's a trading card game, Stu. Right. But do you know what Pokemon is mostly famous for?
What's that?
Video games, Stu.
Oh, video games, Brad. Yes.
Video games.
That's right.
So which of these mystical beings have you been playing?
None of the Pokemons. I've never played a Pokemon game properly.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's
never?
Bad, nope, never. No.
Right, Stu won't be here next week, everybody.
It's time to dump me off. Well, it's probably quite a long time past dumping me off.
Are you even called, Stu? Are you like, what are you? Are you a child?
I know, it's terrible.
You ever played Fortnite and Call of Duty?
I feel like I've let the side down.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's never really appealed. But, yeah, maybe one day, you never know.
But, such is their popularity, you know what the Pokemons are.
This is it. I always will.
They're like the Beatles.
That's right. Do they still have like a TV show? Is there still like cartoons and stuff?
No, obviously you've got John Lennon's dead, so they can't.
Oh, I see. Who is the John Lennon of the Pokemons?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because
I don't know.
Because it's like if you
Snorlax.
Right,
I'm going to say Snorlax because he spends quite a lot of time trying to sleep and John Lennon spent a year in bed.
That's right. Yeah.
So, let's go Snorlax.
Cool. We'll go with that.
What have you been playing, Stu, apart from no Pokemon?
Apart from no Pokemon, a few things. And the first one is a game called Impale, which has a very, very metal name, which is great. I love it. But it's not as metal as you'd expect. It is an arena shooter, boomer shooter style thing, done in that kind of build engine style of like Duke Nukem, but is brand new. And its wrinkle for a first-person shooter, arena shooter thing, is that you're an impaler. It's really funny, that, isn't it? Like, actually, you know, it ties in nicely. So you got.
What is an impaler?
So you got two weapons. Your second weapon, as it were, is always like a gun of some doomy type of description. Like, you know, it's like a submachine gun or a shotgun or all that. But your primary weapon, and that you always have, is a gun that fires spikes up from the ground. And the way that the game plays out is it's all about kind of the kind of, what's it called, like an adventure playgroundy kind of thing. It's like there are always blocks dropping from the ceiling or coming up from the ground or coming out from the sides, just reconfiguring and reshaping this space, because you're in, like, it feels like a kind of
like a fun house.
Yeah, well, yeah, sort of. Yeah, you feel like you're in a kind of big hall that, you know, it's like when you go to like a christening or something, and you've got like this great big empty space, and people try and fill it with as much as they can to make it more fun, and it's kind of like that. And they, you know,
I'm watching the screenshots and videos, and you've just said it's like a christening. I now want to go to more christenings.
I know, right? If they were more like this, they would be much more entertaining. Oh, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like things drop from the ceiling, and as I say, and stuff like that. So there's like barriers, and there's kind of little cages, and it's all played for fun. You know, it's all very OTT and silly and stuff like that, with the sprites, because they're done like sprites, really flat shaded sprites. They're done in a kind of entertainingly over the top kind of a way, and the blood is all over the top and everything. But as I say, the wrinkle comes from the fact that it's this really big space, and it's vertically quite big as well. And you can very, very quickly in the game, you can use your spikes to propel you into the air to get over barriers and stuff like that. So you have to use the barriers to your own effect sometimes, like keep some of the tougher enemies behind them while you're fighting off a load of grunts. Sometimes you have to jump over them so you can get to the creatures to kill them, and they come in waves, you know, so it's a wave shooter as well. The thing is, it's really, really good. It's really fantastic. I've really been enjoying playing it. It's got that one more go factor right up the wazoo, because you unlock stuff, you know, you unlock more weaponry, and then you can choose which one to take into battle. So there's a little tiny roguelite-y kind of aspect to it. The best thing about it is the impaler weapon is both clever and fun, and never feels either over or underpowered. It always feels like it's doing the right level of damage, so it's satisfying to use, without just being, oh, well, I don't need anything else, or feeling like, oh, I'm nowhere until I pick up this weapon, you know. So the waves are kind of relentless, but you get to judge when you go, like, a little symbol appears when you've completed a wave, and you don't go on to the next wave until you walk through it. So you do have a moment to breathe, but it still feels quite relentless. So in these things, it's always a balancing act, and the developers just got it absolutely nailed on. You know, they've done it really, really well. I'm very, very impressed. There's a lot of skill gone into this.
So something I'm tempted to do on the website is to put up a series of awards we will give games, and this will make sense in a second. So we might do it for like games that have good accessibility and stuff like that. It's something I'm planning on doing. Now, we often give an award verbally on the podcast to games that are, let's say, really entertaining, really fun at a certain price. Does this fit into that category? Is it a cup of coffee game?
Almost. I think it's slightly more than that, even.
It's £2.49.
Is it?
It's ridiculous.
By God, That's incredible. I would say that it certainly is that, and the only way it could go from that is up as well. It might become your new obsession and you play it for 20 hours or something. Whereas a lot of our cup of coffee games, we've like, it's got some really good ideas, but it's and it's £2.50, and you play it like now and again, and you'll get some enjoyment from it. Whereas this is like, I would recommend most people buy it because it's great fun and you'll get a lot.
Currently on sale at £2.24.
That's insane.
Its normal price is £2.49. That's ridiculous.
It is. I would wait until it goes up in price and give the man some extra money.
But yeah, I'm looking at it, and I saw it. I know I gave you the code because I had too much on my plate, and I'm not very good at FPS games, on the whole anyway. But it's like, if I play this and I only get half an hour out of it, I still feel I've had my money's worth.
Yeah.
It looks so fun. Pick up and play. And like, it's like £2.49. You say, it's a shit cup of coffee price. You're getting a good cup of coffee for that.
I know. Yeah, no, it's really good. I think like, as I say, it's got its fundamentals all completely right, which is difficult when you're doing something that isn't, like the impale mechanic is not something that you see in games very often, that thing.
No.
But I think the kind of genius, as it were, that comes from it is, as I say, it's got a lot of vertical space, which isn't used in games very much, and it uses it very, very well, very, very cleverly. So you might look at videos of it and go, "Oh yeah, no, it's fun," but it's an FPS with a couple of new wrinkles. But actually, that whole verticality and things appearing out of thin air and dropping, and the way that you navigate that vertical space is quite new as well, I would say. So I would say, if you're into FPSs at all whatsoever, definitely give it a go, and it runs perfectly on deck as well.
Yeah, see, what I like is it's not actually verified. It's still unknown at the moment. But they've given themselves, or someone's given it a best on deck. So if you're unsure, you need to check these things. It's not deck verified, but apparently it works absolutely wonderful, and it's full controller support and everything.
It is out the box. The only issue is, I've not really dug in, but I don't think there's any particular accessibility options. I mean, mainly because it doesn't need them from a text point of view, because there isn't any text. It's just, shoot things. But it doesn't have any like colorblind options. It is quite dark. It could do with like a high contrast mode, I would say. Somebody who doesn't have sight issues, but immediately I thought, well, if I did, high contrast would be a good thing for this. So I think that's the only drawback. Hopefully something that can be added in the future.
Yes, I mean that's an interesting thing actually, because obviously we will call out and we will say when these things are missing or they're not needed. But at the price it is, it's clearly a very small budget thing. Does that become more forgivable than a well-known indie that's got a couple of games behind it, or definitely a AAA or anything like that? Is it something you could go, that's fair enough, or should these still be called out, do you reckon? It's a very fine line, this one, isn't it?
It is a fine line. I think it's worth calling out as long as you're doing it in the purest sense of
constructive.
Yeah, constructive. Yeah, this doesn't exist, sort of thing. You're giving it for the benefit of the people, because I mean, we're given these codes so that we can review them. We don't pay for them, and our only responsibility is to try.
Apart from with your soul.
Yeah, but the only responsibility is to tell the truth about them so that you can benefit the buying public. And I would say it's worth calling it out. I don't know much about the process, but I would guess every time you add something new as the developer, you have to play practically the entire game through again just to make sure it doesn't break stuff. You can't afford to have play testers. You might be able to give it to some of your mates, but that's it, and they've only got limited time, and all of this, and that's where money comes and capitalism comes in. So I'm not being critical at all, but you might struggle if you do have vision issues, I would say.
I'll tell you what, I mean, for £2 odd, I think I've got a few pence credit on my Steam account as well through like trading cards. So I'm going to pick it up and I'll report back either next week or the week after on how I found it with vision issues. Because looking at the screenshots and looking at the videos, it looks playable to me.
Good. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, no, it's the sprites are very bright, and I can't comment it because I'm not knowledgeable enough. But
no,
fingers crossed, it can hit the largest number of people.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting as well. Just to carry on the accessibility quickly, is sometimes like people might go, but you don't call out every game that doesn't have it. Sometimes I've found that certain games have been designed with accessibility in mind, so it doesn't need to be added to the options.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about one in a minute that I'm not going to call out for accessibility despite not having it, because it has things like dark text boxes and dark menus built in, which is really good. And so I don't need to call it out because that's gone, like, people who can read can pretty much, read light text on dark, but people with vision issues can't really read dark text on light, etc. So to then go, right, let's actually think about that in what our game design means you don't need to have it as an accessibility option. That isn't the only problem, but we don't need to call those out when they've actually baked those into the actual game design as well. So, this might be one where I play it and go, from my point of view, do you know what? No, that's fine. It's nailed it accessibility-wise. I can't talk for people with hearing issues, certain learning difficulties, etc., motor functioning skills and stuff like that. I can't talk for those. I can only talk about my experiences when it comes to this. But, yeah, I will give this one a go and report back next week or the week after.
Cool. Yeah. Definitely worth giving it a go. Definitely. I'd give him the sales even if you find you can't really play it.
Yes, I'll give him the sales and they go, oh, I'll send the dead rat.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Oh, no, don't. It's not morbid time. Don't do a... What's it called?
Oh, dear. Right, anyway, moving on. Have you ever heard of a little game that's been out for so long and didn't actually realise graphics existed until just recently, called Dwarf Fortress?
Oh, yeah.
I've been playing Dwarf Fortress.
Oh.
I say to play Dwarf Fortress. I've been trying to understand Dwarf Fortress and my brain is melting. Anyway, right, let's get to it. Dwarf Fortress has been out for donkey's years, and it was ASCII, is it, they used for it?
Yeah, ASCII characters, yeah.
And it was really popular, but inaccessible to everyone bar about the 6 people who understood what it was. But it became hugely popular, I think, because it was, like, in terms of its systems and stuff like that, it was incredibly in-depth. And I always looked at it and just went, nah. But they've just released a Steam version, or modern version, whatever they're calling it, which adds graphics, Stu. It's like actual graphics. 2D, top-down, sprite-based graphics, but actual graphics.
Right.
It's like they've looked at it and gone, the 90s have happened.
Only 30 years late.
Made. Yeah. So, honestly, it's like the jump from Mega Drive to PlayStation 1 in terms of leaps from what it was before.
Nice.
But yeah, it's so... Listen, gameplay-wise, I can't comment on that. I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm struggling. I'm rubbish at it. It's frustrating, but I think that's the point of the game. But in terms of, it's now got an onboarding process. So it's got a tutorial now to get you on board. And that's really good. It brings you in, and I'm getting to, like, I've replayed the tutorial about 3-4 times so far, like the early parts. And it works pretty well as an onboarding process, and I'm getting to understand bits a bit more. And It's like you get an understanding of how in depth this game is. It's like you can zoom in and out of the world, and that's a different layout of the world. But it's like 40 to 60 different layers or something, from like way up in the sky to way down to like the crust of whatever the world is. Not the crust, the core, sorry, of whatever the world is. And you might build, I don't know, you might build yourself a base underground at layer 20. But then you need to sort of like send your people out to cut down trees on layer 22, because that's where the trees are, and then they've got to make their way through, and you only get to see it at this layer, and it's just like really mind-blowingly in depth. But the reason I wanted to play this was how accessible are these sort of games for people like myself, or on Steam Deck, because that's pretty much where we're covering games at the moment. And excuse me. This one, surprisingly, on Steam Deck works really, really well. It's the first time I think I've played a resource management economy colony sim type thing on Steam Deck and not had issues with the menu layout, understanding what's what, etc., etc. And going through the game, menus, like tutorial shows you what's what on the menus really well. It explains things well, and it's like, it's very much the tutorial is, we want you to build a workshop, and the tutorial basically automatically goes, right, to build a workshop, click this icon or press this keyboard button. So you go and press the button, it ticks it, and then it goes, right, now select this, and ticks this, and automatically then goes, right, okay, now click next on the tutorial box, we need to make sure you've understood this, do the next bit, and it takes you through in such a really good way. Now, there's a lot of text also, and it is smallish text, but it's readable-ish without using any kind of magnification tool. It's light text on dark across the board, which is really, really good, and they've used a font that is designed for readability. Now, a lot of games don't really consider the font they're using.
Yeah.
That they have here. Because obviously the original Dwarf Fortress used text characters for the entire thing. So they've kind of kept that with its menu text items and stuff like that, which makes it readable. Because they was on low-res monitors back in the day, you know, it would have been... it had to be scalable to sort of like loads of different size screens, etc., etc. And that's what they've got here. Now, I do need to use the magnification tool, but I find I'm only having to use it just to clarify things. On the whole, I can almost read it. Now, I've got vision issues, so I can almost read it without that. And what I would argue is it could do with a UI scaler that gives you maybe up to double the size of the font, or even a third of the size of the font, just to improve that readability a little bit. But this is on Steam Deck, and it is far from the most egregious issue I've had with like games like this before. And yeah, playable wise, really good. They've just released a Steam Deck controller setting for it, or community based one anyway. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And it's for the first time I found one on deck that's like a colonizer game that I can play. And play on the Steam Deck without feeling like I'm compromising it. So yeah, really, really good.
Cool. Yeah, no, it's one of those that I've always been glad of its existence and never really been interested in, but, you know, intrigued that it exists and glad that it exists. The only question I have is, like, does it have a win condition, or is it one of those things like SimCity where it's just permanent? And actually, that has a win condition. I've just never been good enough to do it. But, you know, yeah, no, can you win, or is it just perpetual?
I've not even finished the tutorial yet, so I don't know. Let's say no. I believe you lose a lot. That much I understand. I don't know. I honestly, it feels like it will continue to evolve as you play it. The world is massive, by the way. And every new game, it actually simulates the world. So it's not just randomly generated. It kind of simulates like the birth of the world, and then creates a backstory for the first 100 years of that of that world, and then you come into it, and whatever the 100 years has been built up is what you go into.
Wow.
So you could have like warring factions and stuff like that. You could have pollution, all those like loads of different kind of things. And it changes the world you might play for every time you play it. And yeah, it's such a clever game. And again, what I think it shows is what you could do when you don't care about graphics. You know, you're not trying to be Sony, Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft or any of those where you're trying to make like photorealistic graphics. When you go, actually, what if we put all of the extra memory bandwidth, power we've got and knowledge into making the gameplay mechanics deeper, the systems deeper, make it all come together in a more organic way. And that's what this is all about.
Nice.
And their years of experience of doing, actually, let's not do graphics. We spoke about it before. Can you replace this game with just boxes and does it play well? Then you've made a good game. You've made an excellent game. This is what these have done. They've started with that ethos and then decided to add the touches to it. So, and it works for it. And it's brilliant. For someone who can't get into these games or is rubbish at these games, I will be rubbish at this, but I want to play more of it.
Lovely. Oh, very good. Yeah. So, have they got any grand plans for it? Are they going to try and expand the graphical system even further, or are they going to keep it on the lower level so that it's accessible for people? Do you know?
So it took them 19 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
So maybe we might get a low polygon version or a 16-bit sprite version in around 2041. Let's give it that. So tune back to us then, and we'll let you know.
I'll be dead, long dead by then. But yeah, no, that's. I
was on about cool. 2041 tonight. I'll be long dead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if they'll continue to improve the graphics or what they'll do. But you know, this is definitely a team that's in this for the long haul, and so good. Good on them. You know, this is what you do. They've got a passion project, and they've gone, look, we're not compromising what we do, and they've nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Nice. 2 games that have completely nailed it. And with Impaler, that's very appropriate.
Yes, definitely. This is 25 quid, by the way. It's not quite coffee cup game. You'd have to sit in the coffee shop for quite a while.
Yeah. Very good.
So, next up, Stu.
So, next up is one called The Night Witch, as in KNIGHT, which is a strange kind of bullet hell side-scrolling shooter, or kind of a tiny bit like Bangai-O, but less arcade focused, a little bit more kind of progressively focused. And so basically what you are is, you're kind of one of an order of witches who is trying to protect their world. There's quite a lot of story to it. I don't really pay a lot of attention. I never really do in these things. It's great. I always start with like the best intentions. I'm like, right, I'm going to absorb this story. It's going to be important to me. It'll increase my immersion in the whole thing. And after 5 minutes, I'm just like, let me shoot stuff. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm like. And it's published by Team 17. It's gorgeously presented. It's, sprite based. It's very kind of edging towards the Vanillaware style of, incredibly detailed, fairy like sprites. And so what you do is you move from area to area. It kind of has a little bit of an exploration thing going on. And you kind of shoot stuff, but you've got a secondary weapon system which is based around magical items that you have, like magical cards, and you can they're kind of secondary weapons, and they're on a cooldown. You can choose the deck of cards, which is your deck of weapons basically, and you fly/float around, doing the shooty stuff. And it's very, very, very lovely looking, and it's very, very challenging, as you'd expect, because it's bullet hell. So I'm not the best at bullet hell shooters. Like I think the key to bullet hell shooters is recognizing that you have only a tiny hitbox, and you have to get comfortable with letting weaponry, bullets and stuff fly past parts of your character sprite and not go, oh my god, that's going to kill me, and try and dodge out the way, which just gets you killed. And I've never really got over that. I've never really had the confidence. So that, yeah, I'm not very good at them. But it's very gorgeous. It's nicely done. It throws enough different types of enemies at you to be quite interesting, although the bullets tend to be the same as where I've played up to so far. You know, there's no kind of like weird and wacky weaponry I've come up against so far, although, yeah, I'm fairly early on. The only problem, and I say only problem, it's a fairly big problem, is, right, so everyone used to play, or has played, shooters from the 80s or 90s, particularly the 90s, right? Everyone's played them, whether it's...
Yeah, your R-types and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or, you know, Raiden or anything, you know, anything at all, really. Anything that you've touched upon. You know, even if you're like 8 years old, you'll have played something on a Nintendo system. Everybody's done it. And what you'll remember from those games is that your ship is like blue, the backgrounds are grey, the enemies are orange, and the bullets are bright blue, or whatever. And, yeah, okay, it might mean that all these games can kind of blur into one unless you're an aficionado. But the thing is, when you make games really, really difficult, you need bright pink bullets, because you've got to be able to see where they are in your peripheral vision. And Night Witch has not gone for that. It has gone for a thing where, not of realism, because it's cartoonish, but it's more realistic than there should be. There's not separation of that crazy kind of bullets are bright pink variety, and therefore you have to stare much more closely at stuff, see where it's coming from than you should. Now, it's a gorgeous game, but that's kind of form over function. That's kind of aesthetics before, you know, practicality. And it does make it much more difficult than it should be, because sometimes, you know, you're trying to use your peripheral vision and you only notice a bullet and it's right on top of you, sort of a thing. And yeah, I kind of understand where they're coming from, but I think it's a mistake. I don't think there's an option. I'll double check if there's an option in the settings. There should be. You should have the option to change it so that all enemies have like a bright outline, or all the bullets are bright pink or whatever. It just should be done. But it's a good game. The mechanics are good. It looks gorgeous. But yeah, I'd say for a shooter, I think you need to think about that simplicity first before you think about anything else.
Yeah, see, right, this is where I struggle with these. You have played a lot of like vertical and horizontal shooters. You quite like those games. This is, you said, a more of a bullet hell. What's the difference, Stu?
So, from how I describe them, a bullet hell shooter is one where it's more like a puzzle game. It kind of fills the screen with bullets, and you're kind of like, it's not like a thing where, oh, you've got an environment, oh, you're trying to dodge meteors and ships and, you know, buildings and all this, and shoot enemies who are shooting back at you. It's more like it's a blank screen of like, no, you don't have to worry about the physical stuff apart from the bullets, and there are always an overwhelming number of them, and you have to navigate through them. That's kind of what it is. That's what a bullet hell is.
Right, okay, that makes more sense. So, like, I'm going to pick one of them out, and I'm going to alienate someone who's going to go, that's the wrong one. But it's like 1943 is a pure shooter, vertical shooter, whereas this is more like a Bang-I-O, which is a bullet hell.
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was saying, because I looked at this, and as soon as I saw someone dodging bullets, I just went, I'm giving this to Stu.
Yeah.
Because it looks to me like, when I saw the name of it, I saw the artwork, I thought, this is going to be some kind of Metroidvania type platformer. And I was wrong. It looks like it should be something completely different to what it is.
Yes, it does. It has that aesthetic of a of an exploration game, and you do a very minor a bit of exploration when you've destroyed everything in the area. You know, that's the way it plays it, and you have little conversations with characters in the environment and stuff. But that's after the actual gameplay bit has been done. It's quite a novel approach, and it's not a bad idea. I'm not sure how well it all coheres. I need to give it a bit more time. But the core mechanics are really good. I think what they've done really well is that your card system, your secondary weapons that are on cooldown are good. You know, they've got lots of different fire modes. They've got, you know, different area effects. They feel punchy. They feel like they have an actual impact. Your controls are good as well, and you've got like you pick up a dash move later on. You start with a lot of moves and they get stripped from you, and then you learn, you know, what they are and how to use them properly as you go along. But yeah, no, it's got all of the fundamentals down nicely. Yeah, it's quite a satisfying game to play. It's just, as I say, the visuals can make it. They're too good. You know, it's too pretty.
Too good for what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to do an ASCII version.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. I would say flipping it so that you've got easy to see bullets is one of the best and easiest things that they could possibly do.
Fair enough. Yeah, you know, it looks interesting. It's just definitely, it's way out of my realm, unfortunately. So I don't think it's one I'm even going to attempt, unless I get it, you know, as a humble freebie or something like that at some point. But yeah, no, at the moment, I will not.
Yeah.
So moving on. A game I did want to talk about, but I've got to wait till next week because of embargo dates. Just missing out, was called Wavetail. I look forward to that next week because I really like it. But this week I'm going to talk about a game who's got a title that, tell you what, let's play the Can Brad Pronounce It game.
Here we go.
It's called Togg-iz, Toggs, Toe-ges, Toggess. I don't know. Toggess. Togg-ges.
How's it spelled?
I don't know.
How's it spelled?
Togges.
Togges? I don't know.
Torres. I don't know.
Oh.
I have no idea. But anyway, what you've got here is a 3D puzzle platformer. Now, here's the thing about me. I love platformers. I love puzzle games. I, for some reason, never really get on with puzzle platformers. Never got on with them. I don't know why. I don't know what's wrong with me or them, but I just never got on with them. So I kind of took this and went, do you know what? It looks fun and cute, so let's give it a go. Let's give it a go and see what it's like. And to my surprise, it's wonderful, this game. Toggess, Togge, whatever it's called. The developers are called Regular Studio, but they could do with naming their game a bit more regularly. But it's kind of got this, before you even get into it, it's kind of, when you start the game, it's got this setup, and I'm like, I think I've seen this setup somewhere before. So tell me if you've heard this one before, Stu. So you're this little thing, and you've got to go on these, you're sent down to go on these adventures around this giant world that's giant to you anyway. And there's this like king of a cosmos that needs you to do things to save the galaxy.
Bloody hell.
You know, surprisingly, this game called Katamari is a lot easier to pronounce.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's so ironic.
Yeah, it's the whole setup to it. It's like, yeah, I see what you've done there. Okay, I'm down with it. You have to go to different islands, stroke planets, and yeah, it knows what it's doing there, I think. If not, someone should show them what they've done. But yeah, really good game. So the idea is you're this little block thing. You can produce more blocks as you go around the level, and you have to lay blocks down to then get on top of other blocks to reach areas you couldn't previously reach, to make bridges, etc, etc, etc. And it's a collectathon in there as well. And then sort of like puzzles are very much start off simply like, you're on this block here, you got to get over there, there's a gap of 2 spaces, you can only jump 1 space, so lay a block, off you go, jump, away you go. fill in this area with blocks, and it'll open up a path, and then you can go to there, build more blocks up, and you can go. And what it does, it's got a mechanic where you get a certain number of blocks that you can use throughout the level. But you can collect things that give you more blocks, etc., etc. So you might lay some blocks down to reach somewhere, but then find a way to have to go back and recover those blocks to use more to go elsewhere, and so on. It's really, really creative with its puzzle structure and layout. There's no time pressure, anything like that. It's just play and discover as much as you want. I'm on about level 4 at the moment of this game, and I can't remember. I think there's like 7. I think it said, and they are massive. You spend ages in these massive levels. It's really, really good, and you do get moments where you just kind of go stuck. Oh, that's what I'm meant to do, which every good puzzle game should do, where you have that moment of going, oh, I get it now. And this has that, plentiful. And it's got really cute characters as well. I really love the Togg-iz, Toe-ges, Toads. Someone tell me how to pronounce that bloody word. And yeah, I just a really enjoyable pick up and play sandbox puzzle platformer that I hope doesn't go under the radar, because there's a lot to like about it. And yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to sit down with Edith one day and play it with her as well, because I think she'll really enjoy it. And yeah, just a lovely, charming game. Brilliant.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice. I don't know why they've gone for that name, though, because that's awful. But that seems like the only awful thing about it. The rest of it looks absolutely fantastic. And I think I might have to pick that up, because it's got a kind of Astrobot aesthetic to it, without stealing the characters, but it's got that lovely chunky but soft corners and primary colour kind of a thing. That
it reminds me a bit. Also, do you remember Elo Milo?
Oh yeah, I do.
Reminds me a little bit of that. By the way, that was an underrated game and a half.
Yeah, it was good.
That was brilliant. I loved it. I might try and find that.
Was that on the PSP?
No, that was on the Xbox Live Arcade. I don't know if it was a PC release or anything.
Yeah. I just remember, I know that the PSP had so many lovely, really attractive games that were very unique to the system until they got pilfered for other systems. But,
no, it reminds me, it's just the aesthetic, that little bit of Elo Milo. Nice. I say it was a wonderful game. But yeah, this is really, really good. It's not completely inaccessible in terms of you will get stuck and that's it, I'm done, because it's too frustrating. It does this dangling of a carrot so well, really, really does. And I can't recommend it more, in all fairness. If you've got kids, I would say, if you've got anyone between the ages of 5 to 10, sit down and play it with them, because I think this is a great little family game to have where you can both work out what you're doing.
Sweet, yeah. Some high recommendations this week so far.
Yeah, a Christmas game, I would say this would be perfect for Christmas Day.
Nice.
If you've got anyone, you've bought them a Steam Deck and you've got a dock for them, hook it up to the TV. Get a controller going with it, and off you go.
Plus, also, if you do that, then you don't have to do any of the cooking or cleaning or tidying up, because no, I'm playing with the kids, sort of thing.
Well, don't listen. Tip for everybody, right? You don't need to cook a roast dinner. You don't need to do it, right? Cheap out on the Christmas food. You don't need to spend 300 quid on Christmas food for one day. Treat the kids with it. Treat yourself with it. Don't waste food.
Yep, no, I agree. Unless you actually plan to eat all the food, in which case, go for it.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, but don't feel you have to do it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with that.
Food is the least important part of Christmas. But I just want to speak about one thing, because I know we want to go fairly short, because but for anyone listening, we're recording early today, right? I'm usually still asleep at this time of day, but Stu made me get up so we could, because it's Mel's birthday this week, and he's a good partner and doing things with her, I know,
right?
I know. That's what happens when you haven't got kids. You can do things like this.
I can have fun. Yeah.
Well, I can't remember what that is. But yeah. So listen, when it comes to Christmas, right, I'm beginning to hear it already from the haves already, which is your kids won't remember the presents you buy them. They just remember you being there. Yeah, that's all well and good, right? But to the haves, when you're telling the have-nots that this is an amazing new product, this is an amazing new product, your kids will love this, you've got to have this, you need that, you need that, you need that, that's brilliant, that's amazing. And you can't provide that for your kids. The kids just remember being disappointed that they can't get the things that other kids get. So all this, and I'm going to call this, you can bleep this if you want, bollocks, the kids only remember the times you're there. Yeah, that's part of it. You know, what they're trying to say is, do you know what? Still work. That's what they like. Work for them. Work for those kids, so they remember the good you do for. No, be there for them. Treat them as best you can. Like if that means you sometimes have to maybe scrimp a bit on your own food, or maybe buy yourself you might have to wear clothes for longer, or your trainers might have to last longer, things like that. But you can put a smile on your kid's face. Trust me, they remember that. They remember that. I will say this now. We have got to get the car sorted again. The brakes need doing. It's just regular maintenance. Nothing's gone wrong, thankfully, for once. It's regular maintenance. With the MOT due next year. And we've had to pay out money on that. Worst time of the year, obviously. But we're still taking Edith to watch the football on Sunday. Not Liverpool. We're taking her to watch Tottenham women versus West Ham women. But we've dressed it up for her as Coach Matt Beard, the Liverpool coach, wants Edith to go and do a scouting job on West Ham and Tottenham for her. So we can, because we can't get to any Liverpool games at the moment because the Christmas break's coming up. They've all been up in Liverpool the last couple, so we can't get there. So we're doing that, and that Matt Beard's given her a job to do. And, that puts a smile on her face. Because it's like something we can do with her, but people will go, but you don't need to spend money you don't have on that. But yes, you do. You do. Your kids aren't there just to be ornaments. They aren't just there to sit in a living room while you're around with them, feeling like shit because you can't provide the stuff that society says you should provide, but then says, but, if you go push too hard to provide it, you're also a bad parent. Listen. At the end of the day, if your kids are smiling and they're happy, no matter how you do that, you're doing well for yourself. I've had to tell myself this so many times over the past year or so, last couple of years with like COVID and the cost of living crisis and things are getting more and more difficult. You are a good parent. If your kids have a roof over their head, in any fashion, right? I don't mean that in terms of you've got your own place. If you're in a shelter, and you've had to take your kids to a shelter because it's got too difficult. If you're having to go to food banks to get your kids food, you are a good parent. You are not a bad parent, no matter how much society tells you that. People will argue that I did not need to get Lucas a VR headset for his birthday, with the help of other family members and things like that. I do not have to get Edith an Xbox for Christmas or anything like that. But me and Lorraine, we don't buy presents for each other. We don't buy for cousins, nieces, nephews, anything like that, friends' kids anymore. We decided, and we said, we're not doing that because we want to be able to provide for our kids and not have the pressure of providing for other people's kids at Christmas. Don't buy our kids anything. We don't want anything. We will do our kids, and that's it. And it allows you to do that. That's where I think the pressure needs to be taken off of people, is what you've got to provide for other people. Just look after your own at times like this. And I don't mean that in a selfish way either. We used to donate quite regularly to food banks. We'd buy a couple of other bits at shopping and stuff like that. And again, this is where people go, but you bought a VR headset. We got Lucas's food for his birthday. This month, last month, probably into next month, we can't afford to add bits to the food bank. Don't feel guilty over that. Because everyone is one bad month away from needing to visit a food bank themselves. Not using a food bank when you don't have to is just as good as providing to the food bank. So if we can stave off us having to use a food bank, that's just as good as us being able to provide for a food bank. So, listen, I know people are suffering. I know people will be feeling miserable about what they can and can't do for their kids. Put the kids first. Do what you can, and just their smile when they get something, or you do something for them that they love, is worth everything. And no matter what others say about what makes you a good and bad parent, no, ignore that. You know when you're a good parent by those kids.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I completely agree. Life is difficult enough, and you really should put your kids first, because if you give them a happy childhood, they're so much better set up for the rest of life, and all the challenges that brings. And you know, it is that thing of charity begins at home. You've got to start with yourselves. If you're not in a good place, you and your kids, then you can't really help any other people properly. But you know, guilt is a terrible thing, particularly in our society, with it being so capitalist. You always feel like you should be spending more on other people, and spending money on, you know, giving to charity so that you can look after people. But you know, try to be kind to yourselves and put the blame where the blame lies, which of course is on the government, because it is always the government, because we pay.
When you look at celebrities as well doing like comic relief and Pudsey Bear things or whatever, going, all you people at home, make sure you're donating. Going, well,
yeah, I could not agree more. I could not agree more. It drives me and my wife absolutely spare.
Doesn't matter how little, but make sure it's at least a £5.
Awful. Awful. These things shouldn't have to exist, and there's a good reason why they shouldn't exist.
Henning Vane put it spot on. They don't do charity in Germany.
Yeah.
The government have to deal with it.
The government do. Yeah, which is how it should be. But
yes,
no. The lighter side of the Christmas sort of thing is, if when I was a kid, I absolutely loved it. I was, you know, just like any kid really. If you don't get the thing you're after, it is pretty sad, because there's normally not really anything else that is a substitute. You know, it's kind of like, I don't really want anything else. I just kind of want this thing. But I mean, I do remember the great presents, but I do remember the times themselves. How much fun they are, how different they were, how out of the norm, and closet yourself away from the world, and just you live in a little magical land of telly and food, and you know, staying in the house. It was brilliant, and I had a very lucky childhood, and I always look forward to Christmas for that reason, because I remember how good it was and how nice you can make it for others. It's
the opposite for me. I've never enjoyed Christmas, but I do what I can to make sure my kids don't have the same experiences I do. Which actually brings me to, this is not Brad's Christmas tip show. Something that's very, very important for anyone who might have a kid that's now 2, 3, 4, you know, at that age where they're believing in Santa Claus and stuff like that, or 16, 17, 41, whatever. Listen, when it comes to presents, the expensive presents are not from Santa. Never make the expensive presents from Santa. Right? Let the kids know that it's you that done that. Even if you've got to say, look, mummy and daddy, or mummy or daddy, or you know, whoever, whatever situation you're in family wise, we've got this for you. It cost us a lot or whatever. We had to really struggle to get it, and sort of like, don't lay on guilt trips, but go like, this is from us, not some magical being. The little things. So that could be, I don't know, maybe you buy your kid a games console. Maybe the game that goes with it is from Santa, not the console itself. Okay, because it's not magical. Because if you can't provide that the next year, why does Santa hate me, Daddy?
Yeah. That's a really good tip.
What have I done wrong? Why have I upset Santa, Mummy? You don't want to do that. The little things are always from Santa. The big expensive, what they call top tier presents that you will get, they're from you as parents.
Yeah.
Never change that.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, that's a really good way of doing it.
Enjoy your Christmases. I've just brought you all down to my level.
Nice. Thanks, Bradley. It's always appreciated.
I always get these sort of like, you should get a humbug jumper. I went, no, the problem is with those humbug jumpers and stuff like that, and the hats that you can get, that suggests that you do actually like Christmas. I don't like Christmas, so don't make me wear that stuff, even the stuff that says I don't like Christmas, because that's you going, oh, I do like it, really. So.
No, I get it. I really do enjoy Christmas, because we're in a position where we can do whatever we want, as long as we're not working. And unfortunately, I'm working a lot this Christmas, but normally I don't. But yeah, we are fortunate. But I like it when there are kids involved. You know, when I've got a nephew, and I always kind of live vicariously through him and what he gets, and my nieces as well. You know, it's just yeah. But I get it that it's not for everybody. It definitely not.
No, that's it. That's why I will always put up a facade for the kids and stuff like that, because it's for them. But boy, I can't wait till they're both grown up, moved out, and I could just ignore it.
Yeah,
I'll have grandkids by then, won't I?
Yeah, you'll probably be on your own. You have your little Bob Cratchit doing stuff for you, and you'll be the humbug king.
Oh, Tiny Tim's got no legs. Oh, poor Tiny Tim, tough.
Exactly.
Oh no, I won't make people work, because screw that.
Nah.
Don't work.
No, that's wrong.
Only work if you want to work.
Yeah. Not all get that. Not everybody gets that choice, sadly. But yeah.
Hey, you can work down the mines again, because they're bringing back the coal mines. I can't remember where that's happening, but Michael Gove is bringing back coal mines.
Not a surprise.
Oh dear. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to shut up now, Stu.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll be buying some coal to put in stockings for people's presents as usual. You know, if they're lucky, it might turn into a diamond. Yeah, it's like that's up to them. That's
Michael Gove and nick that off you.
Yeah, no, true. But other than that, yeah, Christmas is coming. If you want to talk about Christmas, or the difficulties around Christmas and the New Year, because a lot of people do face them, then feel free to join our Discord group and talk about anything like that. People were very open and very honest and very happy to chat about anything, about even the difficulties of Christmas that not everybody will acknowledge. So yeah, we're there for you if you need us, and we'll be there over Christmas as usual. Other than that, follow us on all the socials and enjoy our content, and in the meantime, until next time, stay safe and stay sane.